Welcome to the She Lives podcast, a show for women who want to live a happier life while tackling their goals along the way. Want to learn more about what we talked about today? Visit our website, shelivespodcast.com. Now here's your host, Michelle Hancock.
I am here with Patty Holliday, and she is the owner of many blogs. One is My No Guilt Life, and then she also has No Guilt Fangirl, which is a blog about all things entertainment and pop culture, and the Run Disney blog, No Guilt Disney. She's also a fellow podcaster, which we'll talk about later on in the show. And then you can also find Patty working as a travel agent, planning Run Disney and Disney travel vacations at No Guilt Travel. She's also a wife, mom, runner, traveler, event speaker, and fangirl, riding from Northern Virginia or anywhere her frequent flyer miles or trusty 2008 minivan, aka the Vader van, will take her. Welcome, Patty. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. And that makes me sound so exhausting. Oh my gosh.
No, I translate that as into exciting. You have a lot going on. But it's exciting to follow you. And I met Patty for the first time in real life at a Disney press trip. And I was just enamored with her love of all things Disney. And I figured this podcast is about living a happier life. And I think part of that is through experiences, travel. And what better way to talk about the happiest place on earth with Disney with Patty. You know, you're the first person that came to mind when I thought about Disney travel planning.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. Thanks, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope I can help answer whatever questions are out there that you've got for me. I do like to talk a little Disney, so...
Yes. And I do want to pick your brain about Disney, obviously, but I also, at the end of the show or the middle of the show, I want to talk a little bit about how you're able to juggle all these things and how you were able to take your passion for Disney and entertainment and really morph that into a business where you're making income. I think that's spectacular. And I think there's a lot of women out there that don't believe that they can even do something like that. And you know, it takes a lot of hard work, obviously, but I want to pick your brain about that. But before we get there, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and I want to know, like, how many times you've been to Disney? How did you fall in love with Disney? Tell me all about yourself.
Okay. As Michelle pointed out, I've got a lot of things going on. I am a wife and mom. I have 4 kids, and they are ages 8 to 17. And here's a discovery that I feel so stupid for confessing, but you know when you had little kids and you're like, this is so hard, these babies are so hard. Y'all,
yes, I'm in that stage.
Okay, girl, they ain't hard. Just wait until they're in middle school and high school. That is when it starts getting real. That's when real stuff starts really happening, because you forget, like, bigger kids, bigger problems. And the bigger problems are terrifying. And so I am straddling this weird space where I still have she's 8, but she's my baby. You know, I got the baby still at home, and she's still sweet and cute and easy. And then I've got these...
8 is a great age.
8 is a fantastic age. And then I've got these 3 older kids who I absolutely adore watching them spread their wings and learn so many. And they're so much fun to be around when they are also not making me pull my hair out. So that's where we are from the motherhood standpoint. As you mentioned, I am just a big old fangirl, and I am super proud of that. I wear that badge with honor. I love what I love, and I'm not afraid to talk about it or to tell people about it or to wear it plastered across my shirt, you know? I like fandoms, and I think that's something that brings happiness to my life, and I see no problem with exploring it. It's funny because that's also how I kind of worked this career and made this career happen for me. Was I took what I like to do and I got paid for it. Like, I figured out a way to make money from it. And so it's working. It's working. I'm not rich, but it's working, guys. And I love it. And so, you know, that saying that choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's pretty much what I've managed to pull off over here. I am a travel agent that specializes in Disney and Universal vacations. I own a couple of websites and podcasts where I get to write and talk about the things I love on a daily basis. It's awesome.
That is awesome. And I like how you are diversifying your income. So you have different streams. And I think that's really smart, because I think a lot of times women will put they're all into one thing, and then if that goes down the tube, then it's like, oh, what do I do? But all of your different businesses, they complement each other very well. So I think you've done a great job there. Did you travel to Disney? Did you travel a lot as a kid? Where did your love for travel begin?
Well, I guess, you can go back to childhood. When I was born, I lived in Southern California, and my mom was one of 9 children. And so whenever she had babies, and she was also the oldest daughter. So whenever she started having her babies, all the brothers and sisters had to come and visit her. And coincidentally, they also had to come visit her and go to Disneyland because we were right there. And so I think she told me that my first trip I was about 6 weeks old. And yeah, so I've been going to Disneyland basically my entire life. At least at first. When we moved away from Southern California, my parents aren't Disney people. That was not their jam. They only did it because family wanted to go to Disney, right? And so when we moved away, we moved to Texas, and Texas is obviously, as you know, like right in the middle. And so it's very far from Disneyland and very far from Disney World. And that was no longer a priority. Growing up, to travel, the priority was to travel to go see family. And we took long road trips all the time to Arizona or to California to see family members. And never, not once in my childhood after we left California did I end up back at Disney again, which is crazy because my dad jokes around with me and he's like, why are you so obsessed with Disney? Like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I blame you, Dad. You didn't take me enough as a kid. And
I blame my parents as well. We never went.
See?
The first time I went, I decided on my own. I'm taking my stepson, my husband, we're going. And that was when I fell in love, and I was a grown adult. So I feel like I have a lot of time to be catching up.
Yep. No, I tease him about that. Obviously, I don't blame my father, but we did a lot of road trips, and we saw all kinds of amazing things, though, that I do have those memories from. My parents liked to drive to the biggest ball of yarn they could find, that kind of thing. We were were totally the Griswolds on vacation. We even had a family truckster station wagon that we all piled into. And, at the time, of course, we complained. But looking back now, I saw a lot of places and a lot of things, particularly on the western part of the United States, that I may not have ever experienced. And I loved the fact that we did that. So travel is definitely something that I love and I enjoy. And for me, a lot of the travel is getting there. That is half the fun for me. So I love road trips. I'm a big road tripper. Don't get me wrong. I also like those quick flights that get me from point A to point B very quickly. But I also do not mind at all a 12-hour road trip. Throw me in the car, give me a good podcast to listen to, and I am a happy camper. There's so much to see across our country, and I love seeing it all.
That's true. So the question that I see a lot in mom Facebook groups or just talking to people is why should they use a Disney travel agent? Does it cost them extra, or should they just spend the time to travel or plan their own trip, especially if they're beginners? Because I know it can be a little overwhelming at first.
Disney can definitely be overwhelming, and it's also a lot of fun. I think to use a Disney travel planner or not is going to come down to finding the right one and the right fit for you. There are some travel agents out there who want to take everything off your plate and plan it all completely for you. And that might be something that you're down with, that you're like, yes, I don't have time for this. Please take it and run with it. And that's awesome. And then you might be somebody who's like, I kind of like this. Like, this is kind of a game. This is kind of fun. And that was me. I enjoyed the planning aspect of it. But at the same time, I wanted to have somebody who kind of had my back, or that I could bounce my questions off of, and that I could verify and clarify that I wasn't making some tragic mistake going in the wrong direction when I should have been going this way, that sort of thing. And that's how I used a travel agent early on, is that particularly, I just wanted to support some friends who made a little bit of money off of Disney. We don't, as travel agents, we don't get a commission directly from you. We get it from Disney. So you are not going to be paying us anything extra than you would have already paid Disney if you booked it yourself. So that's one important.
That's a plus.
That's one important thing is you're kind of getting this backup and you're getting this help and you're getting this assistance and you're getting, hopefully, if you have chosen somebody who is knowledgeable about Disney and the way these trips get set up, you will have that expertise to fall back on. And then, of course, depending on what you need done, like I absolutely plan trips from start to finish, moment to moment for folks. And then I also have other folks who are very hands-off and are like, yep, here's my money, book me, cool, see you later. And that's all they need from me. It really just depends. But what value I do give you is that if there is any problem, if there is any issue, if there is anything that comes up, as a travel agent, we have those connections and we are able to reach out and hopefully help you get that fixed. But it is definitely something to consider. And I would suggest, again, if you're considering working with a travel agent, just find somebody that you feel comfortable and confident with, who can answer your questions that you have, who does so in a timely manner, and that you feel like you can work with, because you're going to have a lot of questions. I mean, especially if you're brand new to this, you're going to have a lot of questions, and you definitely want to have somebody who has been there, done that, and knows those answers, because that's what's important.
Yeah, I can imagine communication is really important.
Absolutely.
And a little bit of chemistry there. So as far as planning the trip, do you find it's better to plan ahead of time or just go on the whim? Can you get better deals if you wait till the last minute, or should you always plan ahead?
Plan ahead.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, okay. So when it comes to getting a deal at Disney, it doesn't really exist, guys. I hate to break this to you, but almost any Disney vacation, if you are talking the traditional stay on site, be immersed in the magic, buy your tickets, that sort of thing, through Disney Official, then it's not a very inexpensive trip for the most part. However, my number one tip is actually to tell you to go ahead, and if you know you're going to go in the next year, go ahead and book that in advance. And here's why. Disney raises prices. However, if you booked your trip before those prices went up, you're getting the best deal now.
Ooh, so you're grandfathered in. That's great.
Yes. You're going to retain that less expensive hotel number or ticket price or whatever it may be that went up over time. You are going to retain that because that's when you booked. That's how much it was when you booked. As long as you don't make any massive changes to that reservation, it will stay in place. So if you know that you are going to go in advance, for example, I specialize in Run Disney trips and Run Disney vacations. And what a Run Disney trip is, for those that don't know, you can run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, or up to a marathon at Disney World. And it's really awesome because you run through the parks. That's
a great experience.
It is the coolest thing ever. I can talk about that. That's a whole nother podcast on itself too.
Well, maybe that'll motivate me to start running again.
Honestly, it's why I run. I run so I can go to Disney, and it's I need the distraction.
Hey, whatever works. That's what I say.
Whatever it takes, right, Michelle? You've got to do something when you're a wife, mom, business owner, all that stuff to clear your head, and that's what I do. And so I like to help my Disney runners book their vacations in advance. Here's the fun fact about working with a travel agent who specializes in Run Disney. We can book your races before they go on sale to the general public. And this does a couple of things for you. One, it locks in those resort prices. It locks in your race registration. So if something crazy happens, which does happen with some races, and it's a very quick sellout, it doesn't happen as often as it used to, but it still does happen with a couple of races where within a day or two, all of a sudden, every single bib for the 5K for Princess Half Marathon weekend is gone. Like, what? How did that happen? I was going to pay when I got paid on Tuesday on my payday. Yep, sorry, gone. No more. There's no more availability. That can happen. And so booking with a travel agent before those races actually go officially on sale, we can get you the bibs. That's one thing that Disney is working with travel agents specifically on, and we can get you those bibs in advance. So we lock you in, we get you your races, we get you set up at the hotel at the best possible pricing that was available at that time. For example, last year when I booked my wine and dine runners, the folks that booked right away, prices went up, and they went up kind of significantly, a pretty decent across the board increase in not only hotels but also in park tickets. Then Disney likes to come out a couple of months later and be like, oh, but wait, we have discounts now. We can get you a discounted room. The cool thing was my runners that booked almost a year in advance of that race, they were getting a better deal than using the discounts.
Oh, very good.
Because the price of, do you follow the math? Like the price of the rooms went up. So that discount wasn't deep enough to actually end up saving them anything. But in the end, we saved them, right? So they still got the best deal that was out there at the time. So that's my reasoning for wanting to book in advance. If you can, if you know you're going, and if you want to lock in your prices, that's my suggestion there. And do it both. Go ahead and lock in ticket, go ahead and lock in dining, go ahead and lock in hotel. Everything will stay the same as long as you're not making any significant changes to your reservation. And that's probably my number one tip there. You can go short notice. You absolutely can. Like I'm working with folks who are planning their spring break trips, and that's, coming up here in March, and I'm working with folks that are doing that now, and they're still going to have a fantastic time. And there are some discounts that are out now, but if they had booked a year ago, I think they still would have been better off in their pricing. But, you don't always know, right? So,
sure.
So, yeah. So,
well, no, that's good to know. So plan ahead with Disney. Do you have any other, just for travel in general, do you have any budgeting tips or how to save some money to be able to travel?
I guess, again, from the Disney lens, there are things that you can do to, kind of offset a little bit of cost. There is a Target red card / gift card trick out there where if you have a Target red card and you use that to purchase Disney gift cards, especially during certain times of the year, they're like 5% off. Well,
ooh, good to know. I have one of those.
Yeah. So if you know that you're planning a trip, you can purchase quite a few gift cards and then save yourself 5%, over the course of your entire vacation. The Disney Visa is another option that can save you a little bit of money. They offer, I believe, I want to say it's a 6-month no interest if you book your Disney vacation using the card. So again, as long as you're paying off in 6 months, that's free money right there that you're not going to get any interest charged to your card, right? So you can get that taken care of too. So there's a couple of little things like there. I am a big lover personally of airline miles, and I do use them to pay for my trips down to Orlando. I don't think I've actually paid cash for a flight in years because I make sure that I use my cards for whatever I can so that I then get the miles so that I can then fly to Disney for free. So things like that. I think I am not like a travel hack person. I don't.
But those are great tips.
Yeah, I don't get super deep into them, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but they do exist. They are out there for you. And definitely if you're planning something, save money any way you can because travel can cost, but it's always worth it. It's always worth it to me.
Yeah, and I like your tips because they are realistic. I'm not trying to be an extreme couponer here. I feel like that's a full-time job. It's perfect for other people that have that wheelhouse, but I like your tips because they're pretty doable. And you're right. I think Disney, it is what it is. You're going to have to pay for it. And I know from my experiences, it's definitely been worth it. And it's one of those things you just get excited about. And it's I've been to other theme parks, and once you go to Disney, then you go to these other theme parks, and not to knock them, but it's just a different quality. So you're definitely getting your money's worth, in my opinion.
Girl, I am the worst. Almost every time I walk into a theme park, I'm like, yep, we're at #NotDisney.
Yeah. And then you start noticing like, ooh, they really need to pick up that trash, or their staff isn't as nice. I mean, it's just funny.
Honestly,
it's the white glove service.
It really is. And I think that speaks to why people like me are willing to go back time and time again and to put the money and the effort to making a Disney vacation work, is because I know how I like to be treated, and I know how I like the experience to be. And, there's lots of theme parks. We love theme parks. We are a big family of theme park and roller coaster junkie riders and that sort of thing. And it's just there's a Disney difference when it comes to those small touches. I gotta say, though, I love Universal, like, with my whole heart and soul. It is one of the coolest, so smart with the theming and with the details. They are right on par, especially if you're talking Harry Potter. Oh my
That's on my list. I've yet to go to the Harry Potter theme park, but
it is amazing. Like, I
want to go.
I can scream and shout and say Universal is just as amazing and awesome as Disney. I do think, though, that when it comes down to there's certain aspects that do make them stand apart. But again, another podcast for another day.
Sure.
But I wanted to just say Universal. I have all kinds of love for Universal. So
I know who I'll be calling when I'm booking that. Well, okay. So this is interesting. Walt Disney World is going to turn 50 next year, or 2021, in case you're listening at this at another time. Do you know of any special thing? Have they released any news of what fun stuff we can look forward to for that?
Yeah, not major details yet. It's coming, and they're going to flood us with all kinds of cool stuff, I'm sure. If the Disneyland 60th anniversary is any indication, that's kind of my experience there, because I was there for that. I feel like we're going to see some cool stuff. Disney World is undergoing a lot of transformation right now. A lot of it is really needed and it's exciting, but it also means when you walk into Epcot, for example, you see a lot of construction walls.
Yeah.
You can still get around. You can still have a fantastic time. It doesn't, it takes away from maybe the visuals of the park, but actually, as far as getting anything done there, I still vote to go to Epcot. Like, there's no question there. But once all of that gets completed, and I do think that the whole Epcot overview and change that they're looking at should be finished in time for the 50th, but I can't swear. I don't remember the timeline exactly. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely stunning and amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, and the neat thing about Disney is, if you had to pick, if you go once a year, once every 2 years, no matter if they have construction going on, I feel like there's so much to do that you can't all pack it up into one trip. So if you have to make multiple trips to get it all in, it's okay.
It's totally okay.
It means to do it.
Exactly.
Hey, you can start a business out of it, right?
I'm telling you.
And, I've talked to a few people and they've only gone to Walt Disney World. They have not gone to Disneyland or vice versa. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit of the difference? Obviously, Walt Disney World is a lot bigger, but do you feel there's some differences that are noticeable between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. Full disclosure, I love with my whole heart and soul Disneyland. I am a Disneyland girl. I love with 95% of my heart Disney World. So that's I give the slight edge to Disneyland, and I think that's also the sappiness and the nostalgia in me. Not only as a quote unquote Disney person. Obviously, this is where it all began. This is where Walt Disney had his vision and he did something that nobody had ever seen before when it comes to a theme park and an amusement park for families. And he started it all, and he started it there. And there is something about getting to Disneyland where when you walk, you feel it. You can't help but feel it. Now, that being said, Disneyland is a whole different beast than Disney World. Disney World is kind of like you are going on a resort vacation. You are inside the Disney bubble. If you don't want to see the outside world, if you want to pretend like nothing exists except for magic and pixie dust, that is 100% what you can accomplish at Walt Disney World. And it's an incredible feat, and it's amazing, and I love that aspect of Disney World. Disneyland is plopped right in the middle of a working city. And so when you are walking from a hotel into the gates of Disney, you see the bus stop, and unfortunately, you also see some of the homeless folks. There is, there's that that bubble has burst, right? So there, it takes a
Yeah.
little bit longer to get into the bubble at Disneyland. But once you're inside it, the magic is there, and it's impressive and it's amazing. What I like about Disneyland is you can park hop. You can go between the two main gates within like a 3-minute walk from each other. I mean, they're right across from each other. It's so easy to do. So if you start at Disneyland Park and then you decide you want to go to Disney California Adventure and ride Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that, you can do that. And it's so easy to do. Where at Disney World, if you start at Magic Kingdom Park and you decide you want to go to Animal Kingdom Park, you got to walk out, you got to walk to this bus, you got to wait for the bus, and then you got to get on the bus, and then you got to take the bus. That's another 20-minute drive to get to Animal Kingdom. And then from the Animal Kingdom bus stop, you have to get off the bus and you have to walk into the, like, it takes a lot longer, right? It's just a whole process to do this park hopping thing that is so easy to do at Disneyland. So that's also why Disneyland scores points. Like, I can get so much more into my day at a Disneyland vacation than I can at a Disney World vacation, simply because of the size, the physical size and the spacing of the parks. Even within the park, when Disneyland was built, they obviously had no idea the popularity that they would end up with, right? And even walking from attraction to attraction, they're right next to each other. I don't want to say they're not stacked on top of each other, but they're very, very close at Disneyland. When you take that same experience at Magic Kingdom, when they created Magic Kingdom, they spaced those attractions out a lot more. Not only are like the walkways bigger, but also just in between attractions, you walk a little bit farther. So you feel like you do a little bit more walking when you're inside Magic Kingdom at Disney World versus Disneyland. Those kinds of things, they do factor in. It may not be something that anybody else would notice, but somebody like me who's been to both places multiple times in their lives. But those are just some things that I notice. I feel like when I'm at Disneyland, I can just go boom, 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 and knock things out, where it's like boom, boom.
Yeah, there's definitely more planning, and you have to factor in too. Do you have your whole family with you, or do you have little ones that you're going to be tracking around? I went to Disneyland with you, I believe, and that was my first time, and I loved it. I thought it was very intimate. I love the Cars Land, and it was during Halloween, so it was really amazing. I did not like the fires that were going on nearby, but that was a little smoky, but that was all right. I still, had the Disney magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love Disneyland. I thought it was very intimate, and I wish we could have stayed a little longer. Do you think they have more food options from Disneyland, or like specialty food, like a foodie? If you're a foodie, which park should you go to?
Oh gosh.
All of them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, all of it. I think Disneyland, because it is in California, and Californians are just known to be a little bit more, I think, particular about what they eat. I feel like they have a little bit more healthier options or choices everywhere you look, where you can find those options and choices at Disney World. I just don't feel like it's as easy or as plentiful. I don't know how to say that exactly what I'm trying to say. But
you make sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Disney World has these incredible restaurants. Like, eating is a whole other experience at Disney World. People plan their dining 180 days out from their vacation because Disney World has such amazing restaurants that they don't want to miss out on. It is a whole thing. And so I honestly, I have never had what I would consider a bad meal at either park. Definitely have had stuff that I didn't care for or that I don't want to go back for. I have preferences, but nothing that I was ever super disappointed in. Both places have treated me well when it comes to food. They have fed me wonderfully.
Oh, that's great. And that's another reason to hire a travel agent, so he or she can recommend places to eat. I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, let's shift gears for a minute. I know we can talk about Disney for hours on end, really. How do you balance Disney's a lot in general, but how do you balance your love of Disney, your businesses, your family, your marriage? Do you have a time management plan, or do you just kind of wing it?
Well, Michelle, I believe
Let's be real.
I believe in naps. Let's just say that. I don't sleep a lot.
Hey, no shame.
No, I've always been this way, so this isn't something that has happened. But I've always been kind of a poor sleeper. I just don't sleep. I honestly don't sleep well, and definitely when I have a lot going on in my mind, I can't sleep. I have to get up and get it out. And being somewhat of a creative, that's how it is. Like you just have to get
normal.
it. Yeah, you just have to get it out. So there are times where I will find myself working while people are sleeping. Therefore, while they're at school, I am napping.
I need to take your advice.
Yeah.
I need to start napping.
Honestly, I see no shame in taking a 20, 30-minute nap when you need it. And that may not sound like it's enough. It does wonders for me. It is truly like the power nap that people talk about. It works for me. So that's one way that I managed to get everything kind of figured out. The other way is it's funny that we're having this conversation today because I just saw this on Twitter, and all good philosophy comes from Twitter, right? But
that's where I go.
Absolutely, right? So someone actually mentioned that they were at a symposium or a talk somewhere with Nora Roberts, the writer, the romance writer, and she said the key to balancing a lot of balls is knowing which are plastic and which are glass.
Ooh,
if you drop a plastic ball, it bounces. You pick it up, you go back to juggling. You drop a glass ball and it shatters. So prioritize the glass balls. And I was like, that's me. That's exactly what that's what it is. There are times where, obviously I know which task or element of my day needs the most attention. And I think that's something that moms and entrepreneurs have to add to their wheelhouse of their special skills that they have. That's one thing I love about this career that I created. There's time to flex and change and bob and weave and reorder the tasks as needed based on what literally is more important in the moment. It all works for me. I also don't get bored that way. And that is something that I've always had a challenge with a traditional job. Doing the same thing day in, day out, I didn't like that. I didn't like having to just kind of know what my day was going to turn out like every single day. Where what I do now, who knows what's going to happen? Everything's going to be different every single day. And I embrace that and I love that. It doesn't work for everybody, but for me, that's what it is. So to answer your question, when it comes down to it, I have become better at this over time, but knowing which balls I need to pay careful attention to as I am juggling a variety of things.
I love that. That is great advice. So what does it mean to you to live a good life?
Oh, I don't know.
It's a deep question.
Yeah. As my kids are getting older, like my son is 17, he's getting ready to go off and do his own thing soon, which is killing me. And I never thought I'd be that mom. I honestly thought I'd be like, bye, see ya, go, like next. I never thought I would be all emotional, but this whole high school thing is just tripping me out. But again, another podcast. But for me, when I think about him and I think about what I want for him in the future, it all just comes down to a very simple answer is I want him to be happy. And being happy is how I judge if I'm having a successful life. That's the bottom line for me. When I check in with myself, I think, are you happy? And I am. Even on a stressful or crazy or chaotic day, weeks, months, even when things are really high speed or ramped up, bottom line, am I happy doing what I'm doing? And that's how I know that I'm leading the life that I was meant to lead, is that I am generally happy with the way things are going.
Well, and you can tell, just following you, I can tell you're living the dream, girl. And I know that comes with a lot of hard work, sacrifice, and things that we don't always get to see. But just know your happiness is contagious. And that's why I think everyone should go follow you. So why don't you tell us where we can follow you to see more of your behind the scenes and what you're doing on a daily basis?
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks, Michelle. That means a lot. My travel agency is No Guilt Travel. My Disney focus site is noguiltdisney.com, and there's a podcast coming out soon, which is going to be called the No Guilt Disney Podcast. I am also at noguiltfangirl.com and the No Guilt Fangirls podcast if you like entertainment, movies, TV, that sort of thing. That's where we talk about all that fun stuff. And then you can find me on all the socials at No Guilt Life.
Perfect. And we'll also have links to all of your sites on the show notes on shelivespodcast.com. And thank you again for spending, I know you have a busy day, busy weeks, and I'm sure you're going to be traveling to Disney soon. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing what you're up to in the days ahead. And if you guys want Patty to book your next Walt Disney World or Disneyland trip, do you also do cruises?
Yes,
do you do Disney cruises?
Okay, those are my favorite. I love the cruises. Yes.
Okay. Well, perfect. You guys reach out and use her because I'm telling you, she knows this stuff. I wouldn't have had her on here if she didn't. But anyways, we could talk all day, and I appreciate you, and have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Michelle. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Make sure to visit our website, shelivespodcast.com, where you can subscribe to never miss a show. Find us on social at She Lives Podcast. While you're at it, if you loved today's episode, please take a moment to share with your friends and family and leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Talk soon.